All right, welcome back. An amazing hit job on Bernie Sanders in the Washington Post today by Dana Milbank. Let me try to read this, and then I'll try to comment on it after I try to read it. In politics, as in physics, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Hence, Senator Bernie Sanders' emergence as the Donald Trump of the left. Fundraising and polls show that many Democrats think the best answer to an angry old white guy with crazy hair, New York accent, and flair for demagoguery is, well, I don't know where the demagoguery is going to come from here, well, is another angry old white guy with crazy hair, New York accent, and flair for demagoguery. It's not difficult to picture a scenario in which Bernie captures they're worried, the Democratic presidential nomination with the same formula that worked for Trump with Republicans in 2016. On paper, the independent from Vermont doesn't make sense. He doesn't make sense. Democrats are a party of youth. No, they're not. The current Democratic Party is a bunch of old white guys. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, are we talking about the future of the Democratic Party? I mean, technically Bernie's not a Democrat. I'm just throwing that out there. He's an independent. But but here's what they say. This is an interesting sort of, they kind of do a very interesting job here trying to link this article with what they're about to say. Democrats are a party of youth. He's 77. They are majority female, and he's a man. They represent the emerging multicultural America, and he is white. Identity politics. Folks, I'm not a fan of identity politics. And by the way, neither is Tulsi Gabbard. And she checks off so many different boxes in that. But she's even stated that this is just, it gets silly when you start doing it to this degree. Statistically, he is the worst option against Trump. An NBC News poll. We can really trust NBC News, right? An NBC News, didn't they blow up a truck one time to prove that there was like faulty stuff with the gas tank or something? They blew it up. Long time ago. An NBC News poll this week found that there are more voters with concerns about Sanders, 58%, than there are for former Vice President Joe Biden, 48%. Now, nobody's concerned about pervy Uncle Joe. Senator Elizabeth Warren, 53%, Senator Kamala D. Harris, and they don't do percentages on Kamala Harris, so I wonder what the percentage is. They left that out. Or former Representative Beto O'Rourke. Only 41% are concerned about Beto. Ooh, so Beto is definitely their guy here. Beto, hand-waving, platitudes, Beto O'Rourke. Yet Sanders has both money and movement. Movement. This doesn't sound... What kind of a movement? His campaign on Tuesday announced a haul. It's like they're mad. It's like they're angry. He announced a haul of $18.2 million in the first quarter from 525,000 individual contributors, meaning that the contributors themselves, this is my commentary here, gave not a lot of money, meaning that they're more blue-collar and people looking for, you know, in other words, nobody's dropping like $5,000 on Bernie Sanders. They're just doing it in small increments. The other major populist, early favorite, Warren, has floundered in both money and popularity. Well, Elizabeth Warren, I think, has a credibility problem. And I think people know that. Anyway, and undeclared frontrunner Biden now looks more vulnerable, so they're getting to this now, to accusations he inappropriately touched women. kicked off by prominent Sanders backer. Okay, so here they're talking about how a Sanders backer who called this out. In other words, it's all Bernie's fault. Bernie, if we could have just gotten Joe to the finish line without people knowing about his pervy behavior, which, good luck with that. Meanwhile, Sanders himself remains untouchable in a Trumpian way. Really. Claims of mistreatment by male staffers from women who worked on his 2016 campaign, yawn. Claims of mistreatment by male staffers from women. Okay, so staffers who worked for Bernie, not Bernie himself. Claims of mistreatment. It's claims. Nothing's gone viral. His resistance to releasing his tax returns? Question mark. Whatever, it says. I know he's going to do it. I've heard he's going to do it. The idea that Democrats need a unifying figure to lure disaffected Trump voters in key states? Never mind. It's funny because I think Trump voters are vulnerable like me. I'm vulnerable to a populist message because that's why I supported Trump to begin with. And I thought Trump would get us out of all these regime change wars. So that's why I'm supporting Tulsi Gabbard. But man, is Sanders getting raked through on this thing. So, should I continue? Dana Milbank. The name's familiar. I don't read the Washington Compost. Sanders isn't Trump in the race-baiting, lender-cheating, fact-avoiding, porn actress-paying, Putin-loving sense. You gotta let these words kind of sink in. Is this like an late April Fool's joke of an article? Could be. He's Putin, and again, Trump doesn't love Putin. He's acting against Putin. He's doing everything to counter Russia right now. Are you guys even watching what's happening? Venezuela, Syria? Are you guys watching? But their styles are similar. Shouting and unsmiling. Shouting and unsmiling. Anti-establishment. There you go. That's the one they hate the most. And anti-media. And that's the one they hate the second most, or equally. Absolutely convinced of their own correctness. Attacking boogeymen, the 1%. And CEOs in Sanders' case, instead of immigrants and minorities. Offering impractical promises with vague details, lacking nuance, and nostalgic for the past. I don't think Bernie Sanders is nostalgic for the past. Sanders supporters hope he'll fight Trump's fire with fire, refusing to be conciliatory the way Biden and O'Rourke are. Is that a clue as to who they like? Or to be goaded by Trump the way Warren was into taking a DNA test? Well, that was a bad idea by Elizabeth Warren. Maybe answering belligerence with belligerence will work. Trump-era predictions are worthless. Either way, the support for Sanders shows that the angry, unbending politics of Trumpism are bigger than Trump. Oh my gosh. And listen to this. I spent Monday at a cattle call for 8 Democratic presidential candidates hosted by labor unions, the Sierra Club, Planned Parenthood, and other progressive groups. Sanders was easily the least charismatic, hoisting his trousers by the waist, tugging at his socks, hunching over the lectern, sitting stiffly and awkwardly greeting questioners. But the reception among liberal activists, which had ranged from tepid to enthusiastic, was for Sanders rapturous. "Bernie, Bernie, Bernie," they chanted, standing when he appeared and when he finished. In between, they applauded, a routine full of Trumpian flourishes. Okay, so you cannot be enthusiastic about a presidential candidate, or you're part of some sort of Trump cult. And this is bizarre. This is right. I mean, this is Orwellian writing, the way I look at it. And I'm kind of a rude, but that's the way I look at it. He simplified and blamed the crisis that we are facing today is not complicated. We have a government that ignores the needs of the working people, yet works overtime for wealthy campaign contributors and the 1%. He mocked those who questioned ideas such as Medicare for all. The establishment went crazy. Media went nuts, still is. And he celebrated his prescience. He channeled rage at the vulgarity of a grotesque, and they've got a lot of quotes here, grotesque and corrupt system. The absolute hypocrisy of Republicans, corporations that lie. Okay, so corporations don't lie. And billionaires who buy elections. They did it again. Or the wealthy, he said, many of them are bandits. And he said if Republicans don't have the guts to participate in a free and fair election, they should get the hell out of politics. That's a pretty fair statement. I think that would be fair of anybody. Like Trump, he railed against companies moving jobs from China or to China or Mexico. Oh, is that wow? See, again, you had a lot of people, when Bernie folded up shop and couldn't get past the Hillary rigged election, you had a lot of Bernie people who went over to Trump just based on that. You did, because people care about manufacturing jobs. 40, 50 years ago, it was possible for one worker to work 40 hours a week and earn enough money to take care of the whole family. You know, I hope Jimmy Dore will deconstruct this article, because I'd love to hear him rant through this entire article. He could go on for 45 minutes, at least, talking about this article. It's less hateful, perhaps, to blame billionaires than immigrants or certain globalists. I'm sorry, folks. When I was a hardcore Trumper, the globalists were on my radar screen, and they still are. That it's not like progressives don't see that there are globalists out there who are pretty much doing this, and we're all on puppet strings. Are we all conspiracy nuts for believing that? All right, certain globalists for America's troubles, but the scapegoating is similar. So is Sanders' socialist label, worn as defiantly as Trump wears the isolationist America First. Well, guess what? America First is actually a great label to wear, whether it's Trump promoting it or Sanders promoting it. His Democratic credentials are as suspect as Trump's Republican bona fides or bona fides were. Most Republicans opposed Trump, but the large field of candidates prevented a clean matchup. No, Trump destroyed, 12 or 13 candidates? I mean, that's crap. There was nobody even close. I mean, Cruz was close for a while. John Kasich, who's basically a corporatist, was in it for a while and just hung in there. I mean, come on. This is a rewrite of history. A similar crowd could likewise prevent Democrats from presenting a clear alternative to Sanders' tempting, if Trumpian, message that a nefarious elite is to blame for America's problems. All right, I'm going to stop reading there. So this probably explains maybe why I'm over here, although I'm pretty close to the end of the article. Let me read the rest of it. Universal health care, higher education, and child care are within reach, Sanders said to Cheers. If only we stand up and tell this 1% that we will no longer tolerate their greed. In real life, it's not simple, or it's not so simple. But in our politics, maybe it is. The columnist's wife, Ann Greenberg, works for John Hickenlooper, a Democratic presidential candidate. Well, that says a lot. Hickenlooper. Yeah, a guy by the name of Hickenlooper is going to do great in a general election against Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders is hiking his trousers and pulling up his socks. What the hell is this about? So, bottom line, through this entire article, and the elite's good. This is what I get out of this. The elites are good. Us, us people who are out here, us serfs and peasants, we don't understand, and the elite know best. And don't you dare go from Trump to Sanders. Don't you dare. I went from Trump to Tulsi. But don't you dare go that way. Because we like Biden and we like Beto. And that's or John Hickenlooper. Every time I say the guy's name, there's no way he's going to be president. John Hickenlooper is not going to be the president of the United States. Mark my word. Mark the tape right here. So what do you think? The thing is rigged. Somebody commented on one of my videos and said, Dave, I'd like to think that this is doable and that we should care and we should be passionate about presidential candidates. But some people just think the whole system, we're living like in a matrix. And we're just going to be bounced around from one thing to another thing. And then there'll be some stuff that keeps us busy and fighting about minutia, and then these big issues never get addressed, and we swallow ourselves up eventually. I think it's already starting to happen. But this article, if I disagreed with everyone if I had read this during the Trump, when I was hardcore Trump, I would have said, wow, they're giving this guy the shaft. I mean, it's the same stuff that they were doing to Trump, but see, Trump has been ineffective in so many ways, and Trump is, to me, he seems like he's coming unglued with this border thing and with some other issues. And I know I should have seen this a long time ago, but I didn't, and I just thought Hillary Clinton is part of this machine, and apparently so is maybe Beto O'Rourke, Joe Biden, maybe Kamala Harris, who they didn't put the percentage next to for some reason of people finding concerns about her or whatever. I don't think anybody knows what she even stands for. So, wrapping this up, because this has been very lengthy, the Washington Post, not a good paper for people who are actually thinking about issues and who care about the country. And we know who owns the Washington Post, the guy who runs Amazon.com. So that pretty much says it all. All right, gotta go. See you soon.